Now that you should have your box open and all your straps proportioned properly, let's go ahead and get the server set up. So what you see here is the website that is linked on the quick start guide / getting started. And this is basically just a digital version of that quick start guide. But the first step in all this is to download the server. This link right here will automatically download the Slime server. You'll see it pop up right up to the top of my screen there. Or you could just click enter on the second page. You see somaticvr.com/server will automatically download it to your computer as well. So either way works. And I'll cut away now to show you what the server looks like once you get it installed. Great. Now you have your Slime server downloaded. So let's go ahead and get set up. And I have all of my trackers here ready to go. But first, you need to input your Wi-Fi name and your password to your Wi-Fi. Now this is case and space sensitive, so make sure that you're putting that in exactly as it is supposed to be spelled and capitalized and whatnot. Otherwise, it will lag out at a later stage and not really tell you why. So this is very important. Make sure you put it in exactly the way it's supposed to be. For now, I'm going to cut and I will input this on off screen and join you on the next step in just a moment. Great, now that you have your Wi-Fi credentials put in properly, now it's time to connect your trackers to your Wi-Fi. And this little guy here is going to help you do that. So you take your USB-C cable provided in your box, plug it into your computer or your laptop, and then plug that directly into your tracker. You'll feel it vibrate when it turns on, and it will immediately connect to your Wi-Fi with the credentials provided. You can unplug it, don't need to click anything, and it'll stay on. And move on to the next tracker down the stack, one at a time, plugging them in, and each of them will go through the cycle of looking for the tracker, connecting to the Wi-Fi, and then now it is active. And you can see it's active. If I rotate it, it'll turn purple. If I hold still, it'll stay off. And so just do that down your stack of trackers. Like I'm doing here. And it should only take a few moments. So there we go, left thigh. And you can see all of mine have names on them already because I've already used these to assign to various parts of the body previously. But for yours, you'll just see IMU tracker with a random string of numbers. And I will show you how to assign them to body parts in just a moment. So that is the and last but not least, and there you have it. All of your trackers are properly connected and tracking. And so now you can click I connected all of my trackers, and it will do a calibration tutorial for you now. So this is primarily most helpful for lower quality IMUs, but even for BNOs, it does improve the drift time. So place them on a flat surface, click I have placed my trackers on the table, and it takes just a couple seconds to be able to give you that nice indicator. And now take a moment, take the sticker sheet provided in your box and apply it to all of your trackers. This will help you keep track of which goes where and also help you set up even faster next time. Like I showed you just a moment ago, the server remembers which tracker went where last time, so that you don't have to go through this process every time you want to use your trackers. So now it is time to actually assign the trackers. So yours, all of these will read unassigned, but for now, I'm going to click this, and I could select any of these to be my chest tracker. This is the one I want. And so if I want to select it, I can either click on it, or I could double tap it, and it will automatically select that tracker for that location. And so I could do the same thing for, say, my right thigh. This one is my right thigh tracker. If I double tap it, there we go. Took a moment. it'll automatically assign it there as well. So you can either click or tap, whatever's easiest for you. Once you have all of them assigned to the various body parts, well, actually, before going into that, there is the option for additional tracker locations if you're feeling like you want to really expand the options for full body tracking. This is as many different slots as you could possibly track. This is for like mocap suit type of applications. So now you have your mounting. This is basically how is the tracker positioned on your body. In our quick start guide, we recommend the manual mounting, as the Slime server does as well. But in the last couple weeks, I've actually found that the experimental automatic mounting works even better for me. So I'm going to go through that first real quick. For automatic mounting, you would have to have all of your trackers on, and then it will do a full reset. So you'd stand in an I pose, meaning your hands down at your side, and click hold, stand there for 3 seconds. And then you go into a skiing pose. And so this I find works best if you really emphasize the pose. So puff out your chest, squat deep, really try and get into a skiing position. Click reset mounting and hold that for 3 seconds. And that should assign all of your trackers properly across your body. But if you want to do it the manual way, which is the way that Slime currently recommends, it'll pull up all of your assigned trackers from the previous section, and you just click each one. So chest, for example, and you would say, how is it oriented on your body? For chest, I typically have it right in the center of my chest and on the front. So I'd place it front. For my right arm, though, I typically have it on the outside of my body on the right-hand side. So I'd click right outside. And same thing for the left, left outside. And waist facing forward, thigh facing forward, thigh facing forward. And my ankles I typically wear on the outside so that they don't collide with each other during movement. So left on the outside, you can either click the bubble or the ankle icon on the right. Right foot I wear on the top typically, and foot I wear on the top. So that would be the manual way of doing what the automatic mounting just did a moment ago. So now we're in the reset tutorial. And this allows you to reset your trackers while in use. So you don't have to take your headset off and go through this whole process. You can be in VR chat and tap a tracker twice and it will automatically reset nicely. So the first one that they show you is the chest reset. So if you tap your chest tracker twice, it will reset the rotation of all your trackers, or your yaw. So if you tap it twice, you'll hear a mew, and that is it. And it will just automatically reset. More involved, if you tap your left hand thigh 3 times while in an I pose, you'll hear a chime in the mew sound, and this is a full reset. So this should solve most problems that you might run into. So 1, 2, 3. There. And so that's a full reset. It might take a couple of tries, so just tap it. And on the right-hand side, this is your mounting reset. And so if you tap your right thigh 3 times while it is on your body, it'll automatically reset your mounting as well, according to what you had originally calibrated it as. So those are your reset options. And now we're into the proportions phase, which I will show in just a moment, because you need a head-mounted display connected to be able to do the automatic proportions. If you're going to do the manual proportions, it is a fairly involved process where you are inputting the various measurements of each of these sections of your body. So I highly recommend you just use the automatic proportions. It is a little bit of a dance. So I'll show you the steps to that in just a moment. Okay, great. So now I am in headset, and I went ahead and launched my Steam Link just so I'd be able to see my screen and record myself at the same time, because this part is very challenging to fully understand and read quickly in the Slime server. So I'm going to go ahead and select automatic proportions now that my headset is connected and it is available. And so it will again make sure that you assign all of your trackers. I confirm I have done that. This tells you that you need to have a headset, and then you need to make sure that all your trackers are connected to the server, as is your headset. So basically, you have to go through all that process to be able to even get here in the first place. So first is going to try and calibrate the trackers to your height, which your headset is able to measure. So you just click I am standing, stand up straight like you're at the doctor's office, and it'll give you your height. Now everybody knows my height. So there, go ahead and say they're fine, if they are. And then this is the series of steps that you're going to need to do. And so I have a picture of this on the Quick Start or Getting Started webpage, but you'll have to roll your head in a circle. And then you want to squat down and look to the left and look to the right. Kind of like a ski pose, what you would do for the automatic mounting as well. So squat, left, right. You stand up, you turn to the left, and you bend down and touch the ground. You turn to the right, bend down, touch the ground. And then you do a little hula action with your hips. All of these moves are calibrated to be able to measure the orientation of each tracker to each other. So that's how it measures your proportion. This will give you 30 seconds to do all that. If you have more time, keep going in that cycle. And so I typically get through about a cycle and a half in my proportion measurements now. So I'll go ahead and do that now. So rolling the head in a circle, and then down, look left, look right, up, rotate, down, up, rotate, down, and then a hula hoop, and then around with the head, down, left, right, up, touch, and I have 3 seconds left, touch. That should be it. Okay. So now it's going to process the result. And this is my measurement. So I typically look and see ballpark, does it feel right? Specifically the neck, I look for about 10 centimeters for myself. That looks about right, so that looks good to me. And now my body measurements are saved. I can click continue, and I'm all set with my full body tracking. Okay, so here we are back in the Slime server. After getting everything set up, all of your trackers should be communicating properly. And just to walk through some of what you see here, these are all the assignments. This is your battery life of each tracker. And the ping is basically the relative latency of the packets being communicated to the server. So you want to try and keep this close to 10. If it starts bumping up to the teens, it's okay. If it starts getting into 20s to 50s, very frequently, you're starting to experience a little bit of lag. If you go beyond 50s, that's where you're going to start experiencing a lot of jitteriness. And this latency primarily is coming from packets colliding in the air. So you just have too many devices trying to communicate all at the same time. So you want to try and minimize the amount of traffic going through on your router while using your Slime trackers. That being said, we are working on additional software updates to come out in the near future that would allow them to communicate more efficiently. So keep an eye out for that. This tells you the rotation of each of your trackers and the acceleration in the X, Y, and Z rotational positioning. And so, just as an example, if I clicked on my chest tracker, I'll take mine off my chest. So this little video down here shows me a one-to-one track of my tracker in space, if you will. And so you can rotate and make sure that everything's looking the way that you would expect. And other things on this page that are helpful is you can do your resets here. So you can do a full reset, a yaw reset, and reset the mounting just by clicking these buttons or going through the taps that we talked about previously. All of these over here are basically the exact same things that we just went through in the initial setup. So assigning them to the various body parts, mounting them, and doing the body proportions. If you click the setup wizard, it'll take you right back to the start page, and you can just click escape to come back to the home screen. So lastly, you have your settings page. This is where there's a lot of ways that you can fine-tune and tweak your experience, but really I don't change too terribly much on this because most of the presets are good enough. So it'll drop you into SteamVR first. You can check which trackers you have active. So if you're on a core set, I would have these 3. If you have a pro set, I would have all of those checked. I don't typically put on hands unless you have hand-specific trackers because your controllers are your hands. If you check hands, it'll override your controllers and will be difficult to interact with. For your tracker mechanics, You can do no filtering, which would be the raw rotation data off the IMUs. I find this to be a little bit jittery personally, just a little bit too accurate maybe. I don't really know what actually causes it to feel jittery, but the best experience I have comes with prediction set at about 20%. So it's taking the information coming in off the IMU and predicting what the next frame should look like. And so it feels much smoother and more cohesive as you move around, dance, flex, whatever you want to do. You can drive this up higher, but the issues that you will face will be the more prediction, the more that the faster movements will feel kind of laggy in some degree. It's predicting what the next rotation is supposed to be instead of going off the raw information itself. So I just like a little bit of smoothing. I do a little bit of the 20% here. I don't typically do the drift compensation just because we use B&Os. They're high enough quality that we don't really need that. You can add all these other corrections if you experience anything like your feet are slipping and sliding on the ground, it looks like, or if you want your foot to be planted to the ground for a longer period. It does kind of override what the actual IMU is feeding it to make it more lifelike in the animations. So all of these are kind of self-explained right above them, and you can toggle them on and off just to see what happens. Play around with it. But the lower section, you start getting into the various pose for resets, and I don't really mess with many of these because if I had to change the ratios, that probably means that my proportions were just off. So I go back and do the proportion mounting before going and trying to change any of these ratios. And then you have your gesture controls for the resets that we talked about earlier. So tapping on various trackers to be able to create certain reset scenarios. So with notifications, this is where you can turn on developer mode if you're feeling fancy. You can also change the color appearance of the whole slime server. I personally just like the dark theme. That kind of speaks to me. And you can also change the font if you need it to be a little bit bigger. And last but not least, we have the OSC communication protocol. And this allows you to communicate these trackers directly to your headset so that you can get motion capture without having to log into SteamVR or have some game running like that. And so the way this works is you enable it, and you have to put in your IP address on your standalone head-mounted display. And the way you do that is you put on your headset, go to settings, and select Wi-Fi. Under Wi-Fi, you should see a list of all available Wi-Fis that your headset could connect to. Click the one that your headset is currently connected to, as is your PC, and scroll down that screen, and you should be able to see a list of information about that Wi-Fi connection, and specifically you're looking for IP network address. So when you find that information, just put it into this box here, and then check which trackers you are using. So if you were just using a core set, then I would leave off hip and elbows and just leave chest, knees, and feet. Or if you were using the chest in your hip position, you could also do that. If you're a pro, just go ahead and check all of them because they're all active. And all of this will communicate directly with the VR chat server, which I'll show you how to do in just a second. Okay, so let's get these trackers set up in VR chat. So again, you can verify that they're all connected, and in SteamVR, they're all connected. So in Steam, if I go back to my view here, hello, I can just click the B button, which will bring up your little menu here, and you can calibrate FBT by clicking this button. When you do so, you'll see your avatar takes a T-pose. You assume the same T-pose and try and put your hands on top of their hands. You see all the different balls represent the different trackers on your body. So just try and assume the same pose as best you can. So lean, and when you are in the right pose, pull both triggers at the same time. And you are now connected with full body tracking. So now I can lift my legs and do squats down and do the full body motion capture. So if you're in the Quest version of VR Chat, it's almost identical. The only thing you do is hold down the B button, and this little option wheel pops up. Go up on the joystick to select it, and go down and left down to the OSC option and release to select it. And here are all your OSC options. Just go and click Enabled. And now that that's enabled, when you go back to this screen, you should now see Calibrate FBT as an option on your screen as well. And it's the exact same process. You set it up, T-pose, click, and you are full body tracked. So that is all you need to know to be able to get up and running with full body tracking in VR Chat. I hope you have fun.